My favorite part of the brain. So my favorite part of the brain is the prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that is located in the front of the frontal lobe, and its functions include focusing attention, anticipating events and consequences, impulse control and emotion management, planning for the future, and coordinating sequences. So this blue area right here is the prefrontal cortex. But why is this my favorite? So the prefrontal cortex is responsible for personality expression such as emotion, planning of behaviors. So if I do this, then this will happen. And it plays a role in processing sensory information. The PFC contributes to attitudes and choices that form personalities. So there are three areas of the prefrontal cortex: dorsolateral, orbitofrontal, and ventromedial. So the dorsolateral PFC, so prefrontal cortex, this is a part of the brain that isn't fully matured until adulthood, which is why children struggle with complex decision making and planning skills. So the dorsolateral is located in the middle of the frontal gyrus. Oh no. Okay, so roles of the dorsolateral: task switching, planning, and working memory. And this purple area is highlighted to show you the dorsolateral. Orbital prefrontal cortex. So this is the area of the PSC. It sits above the eye socket, so the orbits or the orbital. It is the very front part of the brain, and it connects sensory to limbic system structures, like your brain um, connects that part together. It plays a role in emotion and memory, and this area helps people control impulses and ignore distractions when working and functioning daily. Um, if the orbital frontal cortex was damaged, there'd be a lot of impulsive behavior, poor decision making, decreased emotional responses, and personality change. So, for example, Phineas Gage, he had a rod go through his prefrontal cortex, and they say that it hit his orbital prefrontal cortex just because his emotion was either really extreme or nothing. So, it kind of changed his personality, and they believe that this is why. So, roles of the orbital frontal: decision making for emotional and rewarding behavior, learning participation, and sensory integration. And this blue is highlighting it. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. Or not. There we go. No, we already did this one. Okay, so the ventromedial prefrontal cortex is located in the frontal lobe at the underside towards the middle of the prefrontal cortex. Um, It allows people to start activity when it's time, and injury in this area can lead to someone being unfocused and apathetic, and they'd have trouble staying focused on one specific task. So, roles of the ventromedial PFC: emotional processing, so risk and fear, self perception, and decision making when it pertains to one's life. So, if they have to choose for you, it'll be easy, but if they're choosing for themselves, then they can't. So, they're really good at hypothetical situations, but if you ask them anything specifically, they won't be able to make up their mind. So, what would happen if you damaged your prefrontal cortex? So, a person with PFC damage would experience blunt emotional responses, struggle to start tasks, short term memory loss or amnesia, stubbornness, and decreased empathy. So, to help with PFC damage, it's suggested to go see a cognitive behavioral therapist. They would suggest creating a routine to minimize distractions, go to behavioral therapy, task sequencing practice, and ADHD medicine. So you want to reduce distractions because you won't be able to focus, and you want to follow a routine because then you'll always know what to expect, and you really won't have to make that many decisions. So it'll just really help them stay focused and on track. And that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned a lot about the prefrontal cortex and my favorite part of the brain. Thank you.